हेलो एवरीवन। टुडे वन स्टार्ट द प्रोविजंस ऑफ बेल अंडर द क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर कोड। सो आओ अपने अपने ईयरफोन्स डाल लो। ये डाल भी लिए। सो व्हाट इज बेल? Bail is the security for the appearance of the accused person, on giving which he is released pending the trial or investigation. It has not been defined anywhere in the code. It is basically conditional liberty or the temporary release of an accused person from the custody. So now let's see the provisions of section 436, which deals with in what cases bail to be taken. Firstly, it says person, any person other than the person accused of a non-bailable offense. So the code has classified all offenses into bailable and non-bailable offenses. According to section 2A, bailable offense means an offense which is shown as bailable in the first schedule or which is made bailable by any other law for the time being in force, and non-bailable offense means any other offense. So it says person other than the person accused of non-bailable offense when he is arrested or detained by whom? By officer in charge of the police station without warrant, or he appears or is brought before the court. Here the word appears in section 436(1) is wide enough to include voluntary appearance of the person accused of an offence even where no summons or warrant has been issued against him. The surrender and the physical presence of the accused with submission to the jurisdiction and orders of the court is judicial custody, and the accused may be granted bail and released from such custody. So here appears means voluntary appearance also included. When after that, while being in the custody of the officer or at any stage of the proceedings, the person is prepared to give bail. If he is prepared to give bail, then such person shall be released on bail. Here it's mandatory for the court or the officer to release him in bail. Firstly, it may be noted that under section 50 clause 2, it makes obligatory for a police officer arresting such a person without a warrant to inform him of his right to be released on bail. In bailable offences, there is no question of discretion in granting bail. It is a matter of right. So now let's see the proviso. It's an important one. Please open your Bail Act. As I have divided the proviso into the following, you will read as such: such officer or court may, instead of taking bail, is given in the proviso that provided that such officer or court, if he or it thinks fit, may and shall, if such person is indigent and is unable to furnish security, instead of taking bail. You will be confused in this. That's why I have written like such. Such officer or court may, instead of taking bail, it's one sentence. Another sentence, such officer or court shall, if such person is indigent and unable to furnish security from such person. Earlier it was only may instead of taking bail, but in 2005 amendment the indigent word has been added. So the provisions are such: in all cases may instead of taking bail, and in the cases of indigency shall. The such officer or court shall, if such person is indigent and unable to furnish security from such person, then from what? It shall discharge him on his executing a bond without securities for his appearance as hereinafter provided. In all cases instead of taking bail may, and in such cases of indigency shall discharge him on his executing a bond without securities for his appearance. So the explanation to this proviso gives who is an indigent person. A person unable to give bail within a week from the date of his arrest, it's a sufficient ground to presume he is an indigent person. Now the second proviso provided further that nothing in this section shall be deemed to affect the provisions of section 116 clause 3 or section 446A. According to section 116 clause 3, a person against whom security proceedings for keeping peace or maintaining good behavior have been started may be detained in custody if he fails to furnish an interim bond as required by the code in such proceedings. Section 1163 has been given an overriding effect, and the general rule regarding release on bail contained in this section will not affect it. Similarly, the provisions contained in section 446A regarding the forfeiture and the cancellation of the bond on breach of any condition and consequent constraint imposed on the fresh release on bail in the same case will remain unaffected by the general rule as to release on bail contained in section 436(1). So basically this section provisions will not affect section 116 clause 3 or 446A. These two will not be affected. Now let's see the second subsection. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, where a person has failed to comply with the conditions of the bail bond. There has been a bail bond given and the person has failed to comply it as regards the time and place of attendance. Then the court may refuse, here the word is may refuse to release him on bail when on a subsequent occasion in the same case he appears before the court or is brought in custody. And any such refusal by the court shall be without prejudice to the powers of the court to call upon any person bound by such bond to pay the penalty under section 446. So 436 subsection 2 makes a provision to the effect that a person who absconds or has broken the conditions of his bail bond when he was released on bail in a bailable case on a previous occasion shall not as of right be entitled to bail when brought to court on any subsequent occasion. That means in 436 clause 1 there is a matter of right of the accused, that's why the word shall is given, whereas in 436 clause 2 the word may is given. The accused cannot claim the bail as a matter of right even the offense is bailable. So there are also some grounds for the cancellation of bail. Those are if the accused misuses the liberty by indulging in similar criminal activities, or he interferes with the course of investigation, or attempts to tamper with the evidence of the witnesses, or threatens the witnesses, or attempts to flee another country, goes underground or becomes unavailable to the investigating agencies, or attempts to place himself beyond the reach of his security, or etc. These can be the grounds for cancellation of the bail. So these grounds are only illustrative and not exhaustive as given in the case Rasiklal vs. Kishore. Also, High Court has the inherent power to cancel the bail granted to a person accused of a bailable offence. Of course, this power has to be exercised sparingly, carefully and with caution. Once the bail has been cancelled, it would not be open for the accused to claim the bail once again as of right. Another point, as long as the charge sheet is not filed, the accused is not required as per the court. The accused is not required to appear before the court every day. The presence of the accused is not necessary until the charge sheet has been filed. If the court feels that a presence is necessary after it takes the cognizance, then it shall issue summons or warrant as the case may be. Another point, a bail granted to a person accused of a bailable offence cannot be cancelled on the ground that the complainant was not heard. So complainant not heard is not a reason to cancel the bail granted to the accused. Because as mandated by the section 436 of the code, what is to be ascertained by the officer of the court is whether the offence alleged to have been committed is a bailable offence or not, and whether he is ready to give the bail as may be directed by the officer of the court. So when a court or a police officer releases a person accused of a bailable offence, he is not required to hear the complainant at all. So this is all about section 436 bail. Hope you will like the video. Please like and subscribe.